Hey everyone, welcome to the Career and Technical Education Podcast. I'm Brandon Grace. I'm here with Randall Hust and Ricky Martinez. Ricky's our first guest today. How are you doing today, Ricky?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. I'm glad you're here. Super glad you're here.
Humbled.
So today we're going to be talking about some advisory boards and how those work in Lubbock ISD, and also and what you can get from those advisory boards for your classes.
So one of the things that Lubbock ISD's always had going for it really well is our industry connections, our community connections, and our advisory boards. And so we have 14 different clusters that we serve, and each cluster will have its own advisory area. So as Brandon is part of the computer maintenance technology, computer science, and programming cluster, they'll have an advisory board. Ricky being a part of the architecture and construction advisory, they have their own advisory board. Our automotive department has its own advisory board. And these boards are made up of all of our stakeholders. So it's going to be everything from industry partners, folks that'll be hiring our students, to post-secondary partners, junior colleges, Texas Tech, University, LCU, any of those post-secondary options for us, even schools like UTI, things like that, they can be a part of ours as well. And then also like parents, students, past students, current students, really anybody that is a stakeholder in these programs. And the whole goal of an advisory committee really is to help drive our program. So, we've all got our TEKS, our state standards that we teach by, but the reality is those are 10, 15 years old, depending on how long they were written. And technology changes, especially in your industry. Yeah, how ridiculous is that?
Right.
And so if you don't have that advisory committee giving you that input on how to stay up with technology, man, we're lost and we're failing our students. So talk to us, Brandon, a little bit about your advisory and how they've guided your practice.
Yeah, so we were, if I remember right, when my first year teaching is when we started my advisory committee. And we held it in my old classroom, which was across the building. And we set up a table in there, and it was like 6 of us. It was just a small group. It was me, a couple of the computer science teachers, and we had Sam Segrin, the CIO for Texas Tech, and he's still on our advisory board, at least right now. He's retiring this year. Sorry, Sam. Oh, good job, Sam, or whatever. Yeah, I wish I could retire. but we are. So we're gonna lose Sam. But we have several others on there. Like I have Austin McDaniel from Cisco, and he works mostly with education. He's a network architect, and he's helped us a lot with making sure that my networking classes are up to par, and we're teaching what we need to teach. And he's giving us some great resources and being able to go out and visit facilities and learn about how they're actually how these real facilities work. It's not like a mock one I make up in my classroom. It's actually we go in and talk to the people that are running these things, these network administrators and managers and things like that. And so it gives the kids an actual idea of what it's like to be in the live. Without the advisory board, we wouldn't be able to do stuff like that. Every year we go to Texas Tech University and we visit the High Performance Computing Lab, which is their supercomputers, which is super cool. It's a room that's air conditioned from the floor, and it's you walk in the center. It's like, I can't remember what the temperature is. It's like 40 degrees in the middle, but you walk behind, it's like 108 because that's where everything's blowing out of, and then the air is recycled. It's a whole thing. It's a really cool thing to watch. And you were talking equipment, and this, the kids get to put their hands. They actually open these things up, and millions of dollars worth of equipment. I mean, not just it's not your gamer's graphics card in there. It's a full on. You're talking just in this one shelf could be $1.2 million worth of stuff, and they like, hey, look at it, yeah, whatever. We're just like, okay. And then you're letting high school kids do this. But it's great for them, and they understand because it gets those kids involved in wanting to know how these things work. And so Sam set that up for us every year. We also work with the city of Lubbock and Visit Lubbock, and they do a lot with like GIS and other things because they need programmers and stuff to work with their programs that they use to hotel stays and all that stuff. And so they have a stake in what we do. And then we also have, oh man, I can't even remember who's all on there now. We had somebody from Dell. Who was it for a while? I can't remember who it was right now, but it's just we have some really great connections, and those connections have paid off by making sure that I have the lab I need, the equipment I need, and all of that. But yeah, advise my advisory board's been awesome, and I want to say it's the best one. All those on my advisory board that's watching this, because it is. Y'all are awesome, and it's a lot of fun. There's great stories. And they're truly wanting to be involved.
Yeah.
And that's been and these are people, like you said, stakeholders that want us to be involved.
Right.
So,
right.
Exactly.
And you brought up a good point when we started, even when I came on 10 years ago, our architecture and construction advisory committee was very small. We were meeting in the conference room. There was maybe 12 folks there, and it was still a good, variety of people and good stakeholders, but it was really small.
Right.
And so we started to grow that committee. They really helped me as a brand new teacher kind of find my way, and really empowered me to do what I needed to do with the program, which was really cool. Got to meet some great people. Some of the things that I got to do early on in my career were a result of that advisory committee, being able to speak to our West Texas Home Builders Association, being able to be a part of Associated General Contractors Association. And so those connections all came through that. And some of the things, as that advisory committee began to guide our program and help us see the things that we needed to do, they brought to us those industry needs. So for instance, they said, hey, have you guys thought about a plumbing program or an HVAC program or an electrical program? And so that was really the reason that we started those programs. So we started to having those discussions. Jill Brissett was our director at the time, and she definitely was visionary and helped us see that. And we had a lot of great industry folks that were helping that too. As we began those discussions, obviously, like for plumbing, we started bringing on plumbing contractors onto our advisory board to help guide and direct those. And Ricky, you're a direct result of that, because Ricky, as a master plumber, was actually the person that we hired to take on that program. So through that, obviously, now you've been a part of those advisory committees. Talk about how they've helped your current program, and then maybe even lead into our HVAC program that we got now.
Well, more than anything, I think the key word to this is support. Without them, without their input, without their support with equipment and tools, we probably wouldn't have the things we have in our lab. And that's how I ended up here, because of the advisory committee. They opened up a plumbing program and electrical. And of course, that's the first in this district and around here. So after ATC did all this, everybody's starting to catch on. So there's a lot of people responsible for just coming in and giving in their input on what is needed out there, what they want to see in an employee coming out of a program like this. And we ask them, what do you guys want to see as a high schooler after they graduate? And let's say you guys are hiring, what do you want to see? They give us the little things, the professionalism, the soft skills, the work itself. They can learn it on the job site training, but the first thing they say is, we just want somebody to show up on time and every day, and reading the tape measure. So it goes hand in hand. Without them, we wouldn't have the up-to-date equipment and tools that we're using right now.
So talk to us a little bit about, as the plumbing program got established, began to grow, same thing with our electrical program as well. And then our same industry partners were really bringing up, hey, you guys really need to look at HVAC. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of helping get that going, and we didn't really think it would be viable. As a matter of fact, with our first set of interest forms, I think there were only 3. And so we were really skeptical. We were also at a point in our district where they were not really wanting to add new programs. And so we really had to kind of sell this. Yeah. But it was because that advisory committee was so adamant that, look, this is really a need that we need to fill. And so obviously that process moved forward. And so talk about the inception of the HVAC program and how that's going now.
Well, I was approached by Ms. Baker and Mr. Huss about the HVAC. And, of course, it was a challenge to take on. I took upon this challenge, and I'm loving it. I'm learning as I go. I do have some experience in HVAC, but to me, it was something. If I wanted to grow my program with the plumbing, I think if HVAC would help, and it has. This year has been a game changer for the plumbing. Also, I look at the numbers. We all look at the numbers, of course. If we don't have high enrollment, why do we have this program? So I took the challenge. The reason for it is like, you need to grow your numbers on the plumbing. Okay, so we're gonna start an HVAC, and we took that on, and we were saying that as long as we get 12 students signed up, we would get the program going. Well, it's at full capacity. I think we have 24 right now, and we had to turn away some students. So we are, and that's just one block. We might, I don't know what next year's going to look like on that. I know for a fact at least half of my HVAC 1 are coming back for HVAC 2. Some of them are seniors, but some of them are coming back. They already said. But the rewards from all this is that the demand is there. The students are interested in it. It's a great program. It's kind of a hybrid between plumbing and electrical. It's got both sides of that. And I even have electrical students taking HVAC just because the electronic side of it. And it really is an interesting career. I'm truly amazed on how this program really sells itself. Plumbing is more of a necessity kind of thing. HVAC is also, but I think there's a little bit more interest on the HVAC side because of the electronic side of it and the complexity of the system. So, and that also makes it a challenge for us teaching it because, you know, without the proper tools that are high dollar, it's an expensive piece of equipment that we have to get, and there's several pieces of equipment that we have to purchase, and we're still working on that. But once we get that, I think it's gonna take off, and I think it's gonna be a great benefit to the school.
Now, if I can talk about the financial side of it for just a minute. Again, you know, as I said, our district's wasn't really in a position to start a new program, and literally what they told us was, as long as you can do it without spending any money. And to that end, start
an entire HVAC program with us.
Here's the amazing thing. To that end, and again, going back to our advisory committee and our industry partners, talk to us about how important those industry partners have been to all that equipment you were just talking about. Because the honest truth is, up to this point, and we're about to spend some money, but up to this point, we have not had to spend a dime yet,
right.
In our HVAC program.
And because of that, you sent out an email to the advisory committee about, hey, is anybody wanting to donate some tool bags for our students? And it was just something weird. We started off with 2 or 3. I made a few phone calls of colleagues that have their own companies, and put me down for a bag. I had everything prepared, a quote and how much it is and where to get it. I made it easy for them. Hey, this is where you go. This is how much it is. Just swipe your card and I'll go get it. And from that, we got an upwards of about 8 tool bags through that. And then Mr. Robert Madden Industries, they came and we invited them over to come talk to our students. And before all that happened, we met in the summertime, and they were generous to donate 90% of the equipment we have back there. And I'm talking about brand new, straight out of the box equipment that we are very, very fortunate that we can utilize. I mean, these students don't even know what they have. You already know how much equipment costs, and it just keeps going up. So they were very generous on that. And also, while they were here, Mr. Andy St. John, he was like, we're going to get you 12 bags. And right now, we're just waiting for them to come in from shipping. And as soon as he gets them, he's going to send them over. And yesterday, I went and picked up 5 of them. Day before yesterday, I picked 5 of them. And the students unpacked them and put them together. That was, to them, it was like Christmas.
Yes. Yeah, man.
And so we're waiting on the other 12. And truly blessed. It saves us a ton of money. Yeah. And students know that this stuff, I make sure they know how much the behind the scenes is going on, so that they know and they realize, hey, man, there's people invested in you right now. Let's give it a shot at this. Let's give it a good effort. Maybe make something out of this.
Mm-hmm. You know, those tool bags, it's not just HVAC guys that are supporting that either.
No.
Like we just put the call out, and we had people like architects, or just random people that were on our board that said, "Hey, we'll buy a bag."
Plumbing companies.
Yeah, plumbing companies, even some electrical, like everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we want to help out. We believe in how important this is, and we want to help out."
And one thing that's great about, the tools and stuff and getting them this year is those tools are going to last for years. This isn't like you have to buy them every year. And you can keep adding to them, making the tool bags more complex over the years or whatever. And then we're going to, those tools, literally, I've seen tools in this building that have been here since the building opened in like 98. I mean, it's like, because some of those tools don't go bad. I mean, you got wrenches, you got screwdrivers. Those things are great as long as the kids take care of them. And these kids will make sure that they're taken care of because they know what it took to get them. And then it just helps them respect tools a little more. And once they realize how much they are, and you telling them, to keep them in the loop on it, is like, this isn't cheap, and take care of your tools.
And for them to get to use the tools that an actual tech would be using. So this isn't just like, hey, let's get a set of screwdrivers. These are the actual tools that the techs will be using, which is why they're so expensive, right? So what do you think is not just the tools, but as far as the equipment? I mean, you've got some state-of-the-art equipment back there, mini splits and different things. Any idea about the monetary value of the donations you've gotten so far?
I'm just ballparking it. It's between $30,000 and $40,000.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And what I say to that is, gosh, I'm humbled, because where in the world are we going to get that kind of money and put it into that? I mean, like I said, HVAC is an expensive program, and they just gave us a great start to it. We can do many things with those units out there. We've already began thermostat wiring. We've began kind of identifying each component, what it does. And he still said, Mr. Andy St. John said he's still going to come and bring by mini splits, variable speed, and the new technology that's really taking over HVAC with just gadgets and computers and stuff. So, Bluetooth and all that. So they're on top of it, and they just want to continue the partnership. And we keep in contact. We Robert Madden and team. It took. I think we brought 8 or 10 members of their team. Mr. Robert Madden came with them, and that really told me a lot about them. That they're in 100%.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
So
one of the other things that, as far as that advisory committee and those industry partners help with, HVAC's not your strong suit, right? You're a master plumber. You're not an HVAC guy. But they know that in order for you to be successful, they're going to support you, not only with tools and materials and stuff, but with training as well. Yeah. And so talk to us about the externship program that you participated in this past summer.
Well, I'm not a complete stranger to HVAC. I worked at a company that did both HVAC and plumbing, so I do know residential install, how to install residential unit for, say, Habitat House back there. I can do all that. The one thing that I do say is the troubleshooting is a bit tough. So the school district offers externship for us teachers to further educate ourselves in the work of study that we do. So Chris Carpenter from advisory, I asked him, hey, would it be cool if I can come to you for 3 days in the summer and shadow and kind of get a gist of what HVAC is on all the aspects? So he was great. He had me 3 days, and I remember scheduling this out in April, I believe, for June. Little do I just didn't put one and one together. Well, that's the hottest part of the year. And the days I was there, it was 105. It seemed like it was the hottest day of the summer. Well, I ended up on day one going to a residential install change out. Day two, he really made sure I covered all 3 aspects. So I went on a change out, and then the second day I ran with the service tech running service calls, and then the third day a maintenance on top of a roof, servicing like 20 or 30 something units. Nice. And believe me, I'm kind of not used to you know, your tolerance on heat.
Right.
When you're in here, you lose it. So I was struggling out there, but I would say that I would do it all over again. And thanks to the district that they allow us to further our experiences with hands-on, and of course these partners, they're just hand in hand. They're willing to. That's, to me, that's telling me they want to help and they want to provide the training that we need so that we can train our students.
And that program's actually put on by the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance, LEDA, which is a fantastic program.
Yeah. I want to do it every year if I can. So
for sure.
Yeah,
We actually have several teachers that participate in those. I don't know if you've ever
I've never done
one
it.
but-
Yeah, I'm too busy in the summer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I know our architecture teacher does one every single year.
Yeah.
Just to stay on top of the changes that are going on.
And it's I've seen great things, like, you know, with you going through the externship, you know, it truly going in and learning, because you like you said, you're not a stranger to HVAC, but it hasn't been your career. It hasn't been like your career for
right.
It's not what you have your master plumber and your master in, and it's cool to be able to go out there and get a little more insight, and then you'll be able to take that insight back and make sure you're training those kids right. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And if I have time to do an externship, I'll do one this year.
There you go.
Got my that's the $1 guarantee right there. We'll do it.
What would you guys say to folks that might be listening or watching our podcast that want to get an advisory committee going? What advice would you give?
My biggest thing is just you're already talking to people. You already know people in the community, because most of the people, and I'm going to say most, but a lot of the teachers that are teaching some of the classes we're teaching, they did that as a career for years, and so they have an ex-employer, or they have future employers, or whatever they have, or they have not future employers. They have people that they've worked with, supply houses or whatever, to help. Just that way they can lead you to somebody else, and then you can just start gathering people up. And these industries and these employers they want to hire our kids because they need people to work.
Yeah.
And if they can get into an advisory board or an advisory committee to make sure that they're going to be trained correctly, or have the right equipment, or at least get their foot in the door to help. A lot of these people just want to help, and so you just gotta step out there. And if they say no, well, that's all they can do is say no. Yeah. I mean, don't be scared to ask. That's what I've learned over the years.
Good, Ricky. What do you think?
Well, that's the one way. Like I've mentioned to advisory members, how do I pay you back? Yeah. Well, the best way we can is to provide a well-trained student. Yeah. And I think that pays in dividends. That they want to invest in us, then we're gonna give them a product, but a human being that's willing to go back and start a career with them, whatever it is that we do, what they do, as in supply stores. We had a delivery yesterday, and I just happened to ask the delivery guy. He's like 20 years old. I want to be nosy and ask him, how much do you make? Mm-hmm. Well, he told me $20, driving a truck, delivering parts. Wow. I mean, that would make a great summer job. Oh, yeah. So there's careers in not just going and installing piping or installing units. You can be a salesman. You can be somebody that works behind the counter. Mm-hmm. My gosh, they make careers out of that. Mm-hmm. And everybody stays busy. Yeah. Everybody's making a living.
Right.
So it's just great putting ourselves out there, and just word of mouth is the best advertisement. And you would be surprised how fast that word gets out, and everybody knows what's going on. So I'm super proud to be where I'm at. I feel like it's a responsibility to do what we're doing. I don't see it much as a job. I see it more of a responsibility to try to, pass the knowledge down. And we couldn't do it by ourselves. We need all the help. It takes all of us to make this happen. And I hope the students, and I know most of them, they realize, hey, you know what? This is something that I want to do. Thank you. That's what we're here to do. Is we want to create a student that wants to go and further their education and making a career out of it. So that's really our goal.
Right. It takes a village.
Yeah,
it does.
We gotta. These kids need. I mean, we need the help for the school district, but as teachers, because we don't know everything, we act like we do, but we don't know everything. Yeah. And the thing is that and we need to make sure that we have the village help where we need, where they can. And a lot of times we're not asking much. We're just, come in and talk to the kids, or,
Exactly.
and just, give them words of wisdom on how to do life. And it's really, in the advisory committees, they do that. And I've always had kids. I mean, I've had multiple come in and just do speeches. And even I had a couple do Zoom because they couldn't make it. And they're like, we can't make it today, but we can Zoom real quick. So I just popped on, and kids got to ask them questions. It was great. I mean,
makes a huge difference too for our students to hear from somebody in the industry. They hear us blab on all day.
They won't listen to us.
Yeah, right.
They sure will listen to them.
They will, for sure.
Same story.
Yeah.
But I really encourage guest speaking a lot. We've been doing. There's one coming next week, and I try to get them in the classroom, get them to know the building, and then the students get to know them, put a face to the company and such. So it really is a relationship ongoing, and we don't get tired of doing it. We encourage guest speaking and field trips just to give them a better so they can get a vision of what it really looks like out there and companies and such. So,
and I would say if you're a district out there that's thinking about doing this, one piece of advice I would give is be open to feedback. A lot of times we want to stay in our little island, and we're like, this is our world and we know what we're doing, and don't tell us what to do. And unfortunately, that can be really bad. And what we'll end up doing is producing a subpar student. And so I think if you're willing to put yourself out there and bring in those advisory industry experts, they can really make your program amazing. But we got to be open to it. We got to be willing to let them go. We're actually going to do a podcast episode where we talk about that whole process of who to identify, the kind of folks that you want on your advisory committee, and how to make the most of those. And so look for that in future episodes. But man, other than that, I think we can all agree that those outside stakeholders are really one of the many things that make our programs here at the ATC so excellent.
Yeah, it is, and we can't thank them enough. And I mean, every time I see somebody walking in the hallways that's from my advisor or somebody else's, I just kind of get chills because it's like these guys and ladies are coming through, and they're throwing their knowledge out there, and they want to grow these kids just like we do, and it's cool. It really is.
Take care. Yeah. Well, Ricky, thank you for being our guest today, and we appreciate that very much.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, these are a lot of fun. We got number 2 down.
There you go.
And I got first guest here, and then he was a great first guest, I think. And, Ricky did awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I feel humbled.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We will see y'all next time.
Yeah. Take care.